everybody, welcome back, and today I want to share with you my experience on Poshmark. Now, you guys know I am a palette collector. I love palette, I love makeup in general, and sometimes I go online and search for palettes that I've missed out on just out of curiosity to see if I can find a good deal on them, just, you know, for ones that I'm super interested in. And one of the palettes that I've always been really interested in is the Urban Decay Vice one, and I've always found it like on eBay for like $165. I was like, no, I'm not going to spend that much money on a palette. I just missed out on it. However, I was searching one day and hanging out with Daniel, and we found it. I came across this site called Poshmark. And for those of you who don't know, it is a marketplace for fashion, makeup, jewelry, just all kinds of cool things. And you can go on there and make a profile, and you can sell items, or you can just buy. I don't sell anything because we know I just want to collect things. I know, I have a problem, but it's fine. And I found the Vice palette on there, and I found some that were new in box, ranging to really beat up from like $23 to all the way to $100. And I was like, okay, well, this is a great deal on this palette. I might have to come back and buy it. And of course, Daniel, because he's amazing, he was like, well, I'm just going to buy it for you. And I was like, you don't have to do that. He bought it anyway. The man is stubborn, but that's okay. So I got the palette, and I've got to say I am super, super impressed with the process, with the site, and just my whole experience. And I just wanted to share it with you as well as some things that I have picked up over the past couple of months. Now, I will say that when you go on Poshmark, it's really cool because you can search certain brands, you can search certain categories, you can search usernames and just shop their closet. Me, you know, I go on and just look for things, you know, type in things that I'm actually looking for. You can like them, and then they're saved, and then you can keep an eye on them. You can get notifications when the price drops on them. So it's just a really cool option. So you can keep track of what you're interested in and kind of wait until, you know, it gets to a point where you're like, yeah, I'd pay that money for that. And which is really cool. And another thing I absolutely love about Poshmark, which you are just not going to get on eBay, is the way they disperse payment to the seller. Now, the process is that you go on and you purchase a palette, or you have an option to make an offer on a palette. So say a palette is listed for $50. I could go on there and make an offer for the palette at $45. And I believe the owner or the seller either has 24 or 48 hours to accept the offer, and if they accept it, then it's debited out of your account or your card, or you can just go and straight up buy it. They have 7 days to ship the palette, and once they ship it, you do get a notification. You do get status updates as you go. You can go on your profile and search my purchases, and it'll tell you, okay, this one's shipped or this one's in process. If after 7 days they have not shipped the package, you can choose to cancel the order and get a refund, or you can contact the borrower through the seller through Poshmark and see what's going on, and then decide if you want to cancel or not. Now, the one downside to Poshmark is that every time you buy something, it's a $5.95 flat rate shipping, but it's expedited shipping. So once it ships, you get it in like 2 days, which is fantastic because most of the sellers I've dealt with have shipped in 2 to 3 days. So it took me 4 days to get whatever the item was, which I think is really cool. Now, you also have the option to bundle certain items from one seller's closet. So you can go to a seller, if you find an item that you like and you're looking for something else, you can then go to their closet and add them to bundles so that you can get a discount from that seller, and you can buy multiple things at just the $5.95 shipping if you're interested in it. I've only done that a couple of times. So I have overall made 4 orders from Poshmark, and I have picked up 6 items. So I had 2 that were just single items, and then 2 orders where I bundled them from the same seller. So once you receive your package, you will get an email saying your package has been delivered. It's waiting on you to accept the order. So what that means is that you open up the package and you're supposed to inspect it, make it sure it is what it was claimed to be on the ad, that it's in the right condition, that nothing looks funky on it, that it doesn't look fake or incorrect. And then once you have determined that, you can accept the order. Once you accept the order, it disperses the payment to the seller, which I think is fantastic. I think that offers so much protection, because when you're buying from a site like this, you can kind of be a little iffy, like, oh, I don't know. I know there's fakes of this palette going around, or I don't know if it's actually going to be in the condition that they said it's going to be in. So it just offers you another layer of protection. So not only are you able to find products that you maybe wanted to try at a deal if you don't mind using them secondhand, which I don't as far as eyeshadows. I just sterilize the crap out of them with isopropyl alcohol, which is what I do after I use makeup on a client, and you're good to go. Now, I haven't bought any lipsticks, mascaras, eyeliners, anything like that, which I probably won't. But as far as eyeshadow palettes, I am loving the process. I think that layer of protection is just fantastic. So that is the process and how, in my experience with it. But I want to go ahead and talk about the different orders that I made, the palettes, their condition, and just to give you some ideas of what you can find on there. So the first thing is, you guys know I love the Vice palettes, and I have collected every single one, but I missed out on the first one. So again, Daniel bought me the original Vice palette, which is beautiful. And this is the condition I got it in. So the mirror's a little loose, but I really do not care. This is almost completely unused. I think she used Armor, Provocateur, Junkie, and Nevermind. Oh, and then she used an Anonymous and Laced. But most of these have been untouched. It's in beautiful condition. It didn't come with a brush. But then again, I only paid $49 for this palette, or Dana only paid $49 for this palette. I was so excited to have this. Again, the condition is wonderful. It is a little bit dirty on the outside, but I didn't care, and I was so excited to get this and add this to my collection, just because I have been lusting over this palette for a long time. So that was my first order. Then I went back and liked a whole bunch of stuff. It's like my favorite pastime. Like, I'm gonna go like a bunch of stuff, and you know how we window shop. I like to window shop on Poshmark, but I have the Steal It in the No palette, and it's one of my all-time favorite palettes, and I've always wanted to try the other palettes in that line, in the Light, in the Moment, and in the Garden. And I actually found a seller who was selling both in the Garden and in the Moment, and I got a notification that the price had dropped to $10. So I got both of these palettes for $25 with shipping, and they came brand new, completely untouched. This one actually came in the box, and I've got to say I'm so excited. And I will, just to warn you, be very aware if there's a palette that you know they make a lot of fakes of, the Lorac Mega Pro, the Naked palettes, the Sweet Peach. Just be careful with what you're purchasing. Do your research and make sure that when you receive it, you know what to look for to make sure it's correct. I have looked everywhere online and I cannot find fakes of these, so these came completely untouched, which I was just ecstatic about. I'm so excited to play with these. This is what the In the Moment palette looks like. And when I say untouched, I mean these, I swatched them, and that was the first time the shadows had been touched. They came with their smudge sticks and with their lookbook. So I was just very, very pleased with these. This is such, this is such a beautiful palette. So and if you guys want to see tutorials with any of these, let me know. So I was very excited to have these, just because I love the In the No palette so much. I love the quality. It's one of my all-time favorite palettes, and I wish Steele would bring those back. The next palette that I got, and again, I was a little bit more wary of this one just because I know there were fakes of this one going around at the time. I do have the Glinda palette, which I purchased off the Urban Decay website when it was on sale, but I have been wanting this one forever, and I got this one for $25, which I was really excited about. I did do my research, so it's got the correct type of serial number on it, and the textures of the eyeshadows are just unbelievable. So this is a legit palette. Again, like I said, be diligent, do your research. So I was really, really excited to have this. I love these colors. I think this is so beautiful. This is a palette that, one of those palettes that I just didn't get my hands on that I really wanted to add to my collection. Now I will say there is some damage on the back, but the seller had complete pictures of the back. She also made a note of the scratches on the back of the palette. So I was not, I knew what I was buying, and definitely appreciated her honesty. So picked up that palette. And then the last palettes I picked up were actually from somebody who, they say they work at Makeup Forever, and they've got a bunch of samples and stuff like that, which I find there are a bunch of people that work at Sephora, work at these makeup companies that get all this makeup for gratis and they just sell it because they have nothing else to do with it. So I picked up 2 things from her. I picked up this little trio of Makeup Forever eyeshadows, and I cannot remember what the numbers are. I did take them out and look, but I can't remember what exactly they were. But I get this really pretty matte creamy shade, this brown, and then this emerald, which is stunning. I have never played with the artist shadows before, so I thought this would be a great way to try them out. I paid $13 for the shadow. I believe these shadows are $21 a piece, or if you buy them in this little situation, they're like $45. So I got that for $13. So I did sterilize these, but 99% of the product is still in those pans, and I'm really excited to have these. I've been using these 2 shades like crazy just for everyday looks. And then I also picked up the Makeup Forever Artist Palette. This is number 3. This was the Florals, which is what this looked like. This is a $45 palette. This palette still had the plastic on it. It still has the plastic on it here, and this palette again came completely untouched, and I picked it up for $23. I couldn't believe that this palette was untouched. So you can go on there and buy completely brand new in-box palettes that haven't been touched, super high quality makeup for a great deal. So, and again, I did my diligence on this one. I made sure that there was no fakes of these running around it like I did with all of the palettes. You know, and again, just some amazing options on there. If you like high-end makeup, or you're thinking about some different palettes, but you just can't afford it, or it's not in the budget, or you just don't feel like you want to drop that money on makeup, I completely understand. If I can get something for a deal, even if it's slightly used, I mean, if it's something I'm really interested in, it really doesn't, because getting eyeshadow secondhand it just doesn't bother me. Now, this might be something that completely grosses you out, and I completely understand, but again, it's a matter of sanitizing them and whatever you're comfortable with. But just know that you can go on there and find some absolutely brand new high quality eyeshadows for a great deal, and I'm really, really excited. So I just wanted to share this site with you and my experiences with it, and I did want to give it some time and order from several different sellers to see how the process worked and make sure that first great experience wasn't just a fluke. I absolutely love it. I think it's great. I think it's a great option. I know I've talked to several of you out there that, you know, that you want to try some makeup. You know, they have drugstore makeup on there too, but maybe it's just, you know, the regular retail prices are not in the budget. And if you're not picky about this kind of thing, it's like buying on GlamBot. You know what I mean? You're getting secondhand makeup, but you just have to sterilize it yourself. But like I said, all that takes is a spray bottle and some 90% isopropyl alcohol, and you're good to go. But I've just had a fantastic experience on this. I've been able to try some things that I've always wanted to try, some brands that I've always wanted to try, and get some palettes that I've just absolutely, you know, regretted that I missed out on, just the collector in me. So sorry guys, I'm just rambling at this point, but forgive me. So I'm gonna stop talking, but I hope me sharing my experience was really helpful for you, and maybe just kind of opened you up to a new idea. But let me know if you've used Poshmark, if you've had a good experience, if you have bad. Like I said, I'm always interested to talk to you guys to see your thoughts on these types of subjects. But let me know if you want to see a tutorial with any of these new palettes so we can dig in and play with them. But I hope you guys have an amazing day, have a rockin' week, and remember, love your flaws, because that's what makes you beautiful. I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.